Okay, y'all, since this is going to be a wood grain peekaboo, I'm going to first start off with my butterscotch. Maybe let's see, can you see that? Butterscotch alcohol ink. And I'm going to use this brush. It gives a good wood grain finish. So let's get started. And I'm wearing gloves only because this alcohol ink will flick right off the brush, and I don't have any alcohol to clean my hands, so I decided to wear gloves. Give it a little shake. And I start with a line. And I'm using the lighter color alcohol ink first because the outside will be darker. Just gently, I'm not pressing down really hard, I'm just enough to move that ink, just enough. You see, it's already giving that wood effect. So I'm going to keep going. And as we all know, alcohol ink dries really quickly, so you kind of got to work a little fast. And the more you go over a spot, that spot gets a little darker, which I like. I'll go over a couple of spots more than once just so I can get that look. Like right in here. I think I went over the spot like 2 or 3 times. But I like the look that it gives. the bottom. Now I'm gonna go over some spots because I want to make it just a little darker in some areas. So I'm just gonna touch up certain spots and paying attention to the rim of the cup as well, because there were some spots around the rim. It really don't make a difference because it's going to be a pink Peekaboo anyway, but I'm just being nitpicky. But I want to just make sure every part of this cup is covered, even the rim. So I got it the way that I want it with my Butterscotch alcohol ink at the bottom. I don't seal because the sealing it messes up the ink for me, especially brown. I've noticed that one time when I sealed it, it had a greenish hue to it after, and so instead of sealing, I let my alcohol inks sit for 24 hours before I touch it, make sure it's fully dry. So especially this one, because it's going to be a Peekaboo, I'm going to lay my decal right on here, spray paint it white, and then go over it with a darker brown alcohol ink. So our first step is complete. I think it looks lovely, and we'll be back with the next step. Okay guys, this is the second part of this wood grain Peekaboo. I went ahead and did my first coat of epoxy on this cup, and it looks really good. So now I'm going to apply my decals. Everything is smooth because it's not a glitter cup. Oops. It's not a glitter cup, so all I had to do was, I'll just let that go. Apply my epoxy, and now I'm ready to lay down my decal. So I already have it printed from my Cricut. I did that last night. So now I'm going to go ahead and peel the backing off. having a little trouble. When I have a little trouble with peeling off my vinyl, I just take my heat gun and I run it over the vinyl, over the transfer paper where the vinyl is. I think the heat makes it a little more sticky, and the heat makes it more sticky, and it's easier to peel back. So let's try that again. Yep. Perfect. And it's still a little sticky, so I'm using my little pick tool to kind of get up under and get it to lay with some light. This is the part I don't like, when your vinyl doesn't want to cooperate. But we're getting there. Perfect. I'm just gonna go in and adjust some lines that and the vinyl that I'm using is removable. You want to use removable vinyl and not the permanent, because it's a peekaboo and you want to be able to peel the vinyl right up when you're ready to peel it up. I know some people make the mistake and use permanent and have a hard time getting that vinyl up. So here we go. I don't know if this is a great angle, but So here's the vinyl laid down. I'm going to go ahead and peel up my transfer tape slowly so I don't lift up any of the vinyl if I go too fast. Now I had a little part pull up just a little bit. So let me show you how I fix that. So right here, it peeled up just a little, and if I were to leave that, it will be bumpy. The epoxy will go right up underneath it, and it won't give me a good spray when I go out and spray paint this for the Peekaboo. So I just take my pick and go up underneath so I could pull it up just a little bit, and then I lay it back down flat the way it's supposed to be. See? I don't get too bent out of shape when something lifts up because I just go use my little tool and go up underneath it and lay it back down flat the way it's supposed to be. So here is my decal. It is a dad's cup. I'm getting all ready for Father's Day. So I'm going to take this bad boy out. I'm going to spray it with my white flat spray paint by Rust-Oleum. I'm going to let that dry for several hours, and then I'm going to do my darker wood grain using, I don't know if you can see it, focus, Espressothe. So let's get this spray painted and we'll be right back. Okay, guys, I am back with my dad cup. Again, I laid down my vinyl, and I also added the name on the back. I went out and spray painted this cup white. It's been sitting for a couple of hours, and now I am ready for my final layer of alcohol ink so I can do the wood grain effect on the outside. And this time I'm using, as you can see well, Espressothe. And I'm using the same brush I used yesterday. Cleaned off, of course. And we're gonna get started. Give it a little shake. And I'm using gloves just so that I don't transfer the oils from my hand to the cup. And also, alcohol ink stains, and I really don't want my fingertips stained with alcohol ink for days because I, as many, don't have any alcohol. Waiting for the stores to stock back up. You see me doing, I'm just making sure my vinyl is pressed down, especially down on those edges, because the ink can seep through. Sometimes it does. I don't want it to. So I'm just making sure that it's all laid down. That's what I'm doing. And that's another reason why I have on gloves, so I don't get any oils on my hand on the cup. Because then it will be a nightmare to epoxy. Okay, I think I'm ready. And I'm just using the same technique like I used yesterday. Let's see. Oops. There's all kinds of things up here. And a little more light. Okay. So I'm going to start here. And excuse me if I sneeze or seems like I'm sniffling. Today is a very bad allergy day. My allergies are on 1,000 today. And you may hear my daughter in the background. She's watching The Masked Singer. She's very spirited about her shows. Pay her no mind. And again, I'm not pressing down really hard. I'm just lightly with the brush making these light strokes. covered except for the bottom. So I'm gonna go over the bottom, and then just like I did in the first video, I'm gonna go over some spots, because the more you go over in certain spots, the darker it will be, and the more it will resemble wood. She is really going to town downstairs. Excuse her for that. And I'm holding it at an awkward angle. Can't really see too much going on, but touching up this bottom really good. So I'm gonna go back over in some spots. I don't know if you can see, there are some white spots along the lip of the cup. So I'm gonna pay special attention to the lip. This is gonna look amazing under epoxy. Woodgrains are such a smooth looking cup because, like I said, you don't use any glitter, so there's no sanding or anything. But they're just, I love them. They just look so classy to me. I like to do 2 coats of ink because I like the look. Some people go over once. I like to go over twice. It just gives a great finish when you go over it 2 times. To me, it's my opinion. And I think I'm done. As with everything with cups, once I get started, I don't know when to stop, but I think I'm gonna stop. Just 1 second. I will stop in a second. I promise. Just give me a second. Turn out some of this light so that you will be able to see. It's too dark. Okay, so here it is. Here's the bottom. And all the way around. Now I'll probably let this sit for like an hour or two, and then I'm gonna come back and pull up my decals. And because I'm not sealing, because I don't like to seal wood grains, because the sealer, it changes the color, it dulls the color out, and with the brown wood grain, it gives it like a green type of a hue that I don't want. So this won't be sealed, and because I'm not sealing, I have to let this sit for 24 hours before I get the epoxy on. So I'm gonna wait about 2 hours, come back, pull decals off, and then we're gonna come back and epoxy later. Okay, thank you. I am back with the finished product of my wood grain tumbler. I went ahead and pulled my vinyl off and epoxied, and this is what I have. It's beautiful, and the name on the back. I love wood grains. They are super easy to do. One thing I love about them is there is no sanding necessary. Just epoxy. Make sure you don't have any micro bubbles in your epoxy by using your torch. Very smooth, glass-like finish. I love using KSResin. I will put the link down in the description box with a coupon code. Gives a glass looking finish every time. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back with more creations.